During the pandemic, Kim and I bought a 28-foot Class C motorhome, small enough to fit inside our hangar when we were not using it. A few months later, we added a smart car to tow behind it, and that launched a series of 6 major trips, including the one we are on now. Those trips have been full of amazing adventures. From 2021 to 2026, we took 6 major motorhome trips, towing our smart car behind us. Over those trips, we managed to visit every one of the lower 48 states, along with 5 Canadian provinces: Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, Quebec, and Ontario. This 6th trip completed the map. This video is from our 6th motorhome trip across this amazing and beautiful continent and through these United States of America. Well, we are on our way from the city of Beatty, town of Beatty, I guess, in Nevada to Death Valley. It's very unique. Right now we're about 68 degrees. It's quite cool. Windows are down, but I think we will be warming up. The high up here in Beatty is going to be about 97 today, and we're at 3,300 feet. We'll be heading down to below sea level, and I suspect the temperature will be well above 100 degrees down there, so it'll be interesting to see. As we go over the top of this hill, there's a valley dead ahead, but that is not actually Death Valley, I don't believe. And I think Death Valley is over the top of those next set of mountains, although I'm not totally sure of that, but that's my view. We're in Death Valley in California, and I think we're getting ready to go over a crest here where we're going to see down into the actual Death Valley here. I don't know what to expect exactly. I remember distinctly as a boy entering it from the west side, and that was a really cool trail down into the valley, but I don't know if they're still that way from the east or not. We'll find out. Well, we are at a little stop off here to look out into the Death Valley. That is the valley there, running below sea level, and you can tell that we've been coming down a mountain for quite a while, quite a steep mountain, and we'll be heading all the way down into that area and going to several of the turnoffs. So we are now on what's called Daylight Road. We're heading down towards a place about 31 minutes away. I guess it's going to be some overlook, I don't know, but now we're getting down into the actual valley. Videos don't do it justice. In Death Valley, you hear the stories of people having car trouble, getting stranded, and sometimes not making it out. It makes you look at the heat and distance differently and really appreciate a well-running car. Interestingly enough, this is called white gold, which is the old borax, the 20 mule team borax thing that we used to see on Death Valley days, the show. And we are walking up to an old borax mine here in Death Valley. Harmony Borax Works sits just north of Furnace Creek and preserves one of Death Valley's best-known mining sites. In the 1880s, borax was processed here, then hauled across the desert by the famous 20 mule teams. Seeing the old wagons, tanks, and ruins makes it clear how difficult that work must have been, especially in this heat and isolation. So we've been hearing about 20 mule team. Here's the borax wagon. And when you look at the size of this, it makes total sense why they needed a team of mules that big to pull it. This thing would be completely full of their borax, whatever the hell it's called. I don't know much about it now, but later I will. And had a water paddy wagon back there, and they had to carry all this. It took that many mules to do it. And there are wild burrows around this area, actually higher elevations, that I guess were cut loose and have bred, and there they are. I haven't seen any yet. We drove about 20 miles down Badwater Road toward Badwater Basin, the lowest point in North America at about 282 feet below sea level. The basin is a wide salt flat where water collects, evaporates, and leaves minerals behind. That was about as far south as we felt like going. Death Valley is vast, and the distances are deceptive. It is the largest national park in the lower 48, covering over 3.4 million acres. It is essentially devoid of humans. This is as far south as we are going to go. We are in Badwater Basin. I don't know where elevation, but I know I'm looking east there. That's where the sun is. And you can see the basin. We try to get photos and videos of our little smart car in different places along the way. This little gal has been around, almost like that old red couch photo idea, showing up in every imaginable location. Fun little travel marker. Artist palette, or artist palette. We are right now in the middle of Death Valley at a place called Artist Palette. And what do you think of this place?
It's amazing.
It's the highest, no, pardon me, it's the lowest, the driest, and the hottest on the planet. So we're talking the lowest 230 some or 50 some feet below sea level, driest, I don't know by what measure, and of course the hottest, 134 degrees, highest recorded ever in the world, right here in Death Valley. Woo! Right now it's probably about 101 with a dry breeze, so it's quite havable. There's our little car way down there waiting for us to get back. Artist Palette is special because the hills are naturally colored by minerals in the rock. Iron, manganese, and other elements create reds, pinks, greens, purples, and yellows across the slopes. In the middle of Death Valley's harsh desert, it looks almost painted. In the noon light, these don't show up that well in the camera. You can imagine the flash floods that might occur in here once you get a mountain rain, everything coming down this trough. I thought the deserts of Qatar, which Kim and I visited last year, were the ultimate desert experience. Then we saw Death Valley, changed our minds. Badwater Basin sits about 282 feet below sea level, yet Mount Whitney, the highest peak in the lower 48, is only about 85 miles away, all in California. That is real geographic diversity. We left the valley floor and headed up toward Dante's View, stopping first at Zabriskie Point. This is one of Death Valley's classic overlooks, with sweeping views of folded, eroded badlands shaped by ancient lake sediments, volcanic ash, uplift, and water erosion. The sharp ridges and soft colors make the landscape look almost sculpted. It is a quick stop, but one of the most memorable views in the park. We were at Dante's Overlook, which is probably one of the better views of Death Valley there is. Dante's View sits at about 5,475 feet above sea level, while Badwater Basin below is about 282 feet below sea level. So from this overlook, you are looking down more than 5,700 vertical feet to the lowest point in North America. So we were along here, and then we came up this way, and then we made that right turn and came up here to where we are now, which is out looking over the whole valley. When we leave here, we'll turn this way and make a right, and it'll take us back to Beatty, an hour and a half run back there, so it's a long run back. So looking out in that direction, right about there is where the Furnace Creek is. That area there is one part that's 200 and some odd feet below sea level. And we are now at about 5,500 feet above sea level, so we're well over a mile higher than that valley down there. So this is a pretty damn unique view. So we're in our chairs here, and we're going to have a bit of lunch up here at the cool 5,500 feet of altitude over the Death Valley. We are what is called the Mesquite Sand Dunes. We're going to take a nice little walk out there and see what it looks like. This dune here is a little bit easier to walk in than the Great Sand Dune was in Colorado. There must be a slight difference in the type of sand or something. I'm not saying it's easy. It's not totally easy, but it's a little bit easier. It's quite different than the dunes in Qatar. The sand has a different quality to it. The sand in Qatar, as you may remember, was a very crystalline type of stuff. This is similar, but it's maybe a little bit less granular, perhaps. Maybe a little finer, I think, here. All sorts of little interesting, see these right here, and then look at that one right there. All sorts of little creatures running around here. I think we found the guy who's making one of these little, he's struggling up the hill. This is like a tough run for him, but he ain't gonna give up. He got a place to go. At the end of our second day in Death Valley, just before heading back to Beatty, we stopped at Rhyolite Ghost Town. Rhyolite was one of those classic Western boom towns, born almost overnight after gold was discovered in the Bullfrog Hills around 1904 and 1905. For a short time, it had banks, hotels, stores, a school, rail service, electricity, and thousands of people hoping the desert would make them rich. But the boom did not last. Mine values dropped. Money dried up after the 1907 financial panic, and people moved on almost as fast as they had arrived. Today, the Cook Bank ruins, the old depot, and the bottle house stand out in the desert as reminders of how quickly a town can rise and how quickly it can disappear. We are leaving Beatty relatively early this morning. We got on the road about 7, and we are heading across a valley prior to these mountains ahead of us, and then we go over the top of those, and then we go down into Death Valley. We're bringing the whole rig into Death Valley, and then we're going to take the north-south route through Death Valley, which seems to be the fastest way to Bakersfield. And we feel like it's early enough in the morning that it will not be a problem. I might be touching the high 90s in the desert area before we get out of there on the other side. So that's our plan. It's going to be slow driving today, but be kind of careful until we get to the other side of the valley, and then we'll be A-okay. So we are ending our trek down the mountain into the valley, Death Valley, and the road we're coming up on will be a north-south road that'll take us down through the middle of the valley all the way to the southern end so we can exit. We're still in Death Valley, actually in the valley itself, and we're at a place called Stovepipe Wells, and we just pulled off and we're taking up several parking spots. We decided to put our chairs out, have ourselves a nice cup of coffee. It's still not really that warm yet. Maybe probably in this early 90s, maybe 90. It'll start getting warm pretty quickly, so we're here at a good time, passing our way through. So we got our coffee, and we're gonna drink it and then move. We went up over a mountain, climbing like a mother, watching the engine heat, and then now we're coming down the other side at a 9% grade, taking us all the way down to the valley floor again, it looks like, and then back up the other side. This is definitely hard driving. The main thing is that's the heart of the driver, is just trying to keep the equipment happy and safe. Leaving Death Valley westbound, the road really worked the machines. The grades were steep in both directions, with warnings to turn off the air conditioning to protect the engine. It was tough country for equipment, but our little lady performed beautifully, climbed out of the valley, and carried us on toward Bakersfield for a few days to catch up on work.